A warm welcome to everybody. My name is Gerrit Rosam. I am a project manager and business developer at Leibniz University Hanover, which coordinates MediaFutures. On behalf of Alexandra Grazzo-Gianni, who we unfortunately a moment ago lost, I would also like to warmly welcome you. Please note that this session will be recorded. Only speakers have the opportunity to speak, but participants can ask questions directly via the chat, and we will do our best to address them directly in the chat and try to cover as much as we can within our Q&A session later at the end as well. So please feel free to make use of this, and we look forward to making this an interactive session. In case you would like to have a second look, we will upload this as a recorded session to our MediaFutures YouTube channel as well. Next slide, please. MediaFutures has a strong consortium. I think we have Alexandra back.
Oh, yes, thank you, Gerrit, and apologies. Thank you for taking this up. Yes, I can continue. So we bring together in MediaFutures 10 fantastic partners that are leading experts in their domain of expertise. I will be your moderator today if my internet connection allows me to. So I'm Alexandra Grazzo-Gianni, coordinator of MediaFutures. I'm working at the Leibniz University of Hanover as coordinator of European projects, and I'm also working at TIB, the Leibniz Information Center for Science and Technology, as head of tech transfer. Today, I have the great pleasure to have with me 3 more of our 10 MediaFutures partners that will be showcasing our work and more specifically how we can help you apply to our second open call. So with great pleasure, I welcome Tanya from NMA, who is Director of Media Innovation. We have with us Luis from IRCAM, who is our Tech Coordinator Officer. Igor from Kampala, who is European R&D Project Manager and expert. And last but not least, my exceptional colleague, Gerrit Rosam, who is an expert in innovation, entrepreneurship, and my deputy for the MediaFutures project. So in today's webinar, we will give you a short overview. What is MediaFutures about? We can see that in the next slide. And we will showcase how we can support startups and artists to accelerate their business products, as well as artworks and artwork experiences to reshape the media value chain and address some of the most pressing challenges in media nowadays. So after this brief introduction, we will move more directly into details and showcase exactly how we can support you and what MediaFutures offers. Last but not least, we will showcase the concrete steps on how you can submit your application and answer your questions in the chat. Thus, please feel free to use the chat, add your questions there, and of course the session is recorded. Thus, we will revert back to it on YouTube, where it will be uploaded. The most important thing is that after our webinar, the matchmaking will start. So this is a great opportunity for startups and SMEs to connect with artists online due to the pandemic restrictions and align together on how they can collaborate and apply to our Startup Meets Artist track. So in the next slide, we will showcase a bit what MediaFutures is about. MediaFutures is a European project. That means it is funded by the European Commission. It has a duration of 3 years, and our goal is to implement an open call and graduate a cohort per year. So it is a very ambitious and hard-working program. At the same time, it is a very unique opportunity because for the first time, these 10 organizations come together to develop a unique training program, which is customized to address the media challenges of misinformation and disinformation. Thus, it is a very unique opportunity, and I highly encourage you to apply to our second open call. So we have already built up our expertise in the first year of the project. We very successfully completed our first open call and trained our first cohort, and we have 2 more open calls to go on and 2 more cohorts. Nevertheless, please make sure to prioritize your application and apply to this second open call of ours. We will be having a third open call next year. However, I highly encourage you to apply this year to maximize your chances of getting accepted to the program and benefiting from the equity-free funding, training, and mentorship opportunities. Thus, in the next slide, we can see our consortium of our 10 fantastic partners who are leading experts and some of the strongest organizations in Europe in the domains of media entrepreneurship, art, data science, journalism, innovation, ethics, and law. So we are a multidisciplinary consortium, and we cover a vast spectrum of complementary angles. This is one of our unique benefits that successful applicants can have access to. And we offer our program, which is uniquely combined between our partners, with our goal to enable our cohorts to grow and thrive. In the next slide, we can see the geographical diversity at the level of the consortium. And this way, we showcase that we bundle the expertise of leading partners in order to shape a strong and robust support program for startup artists and SMEs, as well as startups that are working in media-related innovation. So let's discover what MediaFutures is about. In the next slide, we can see the challenges that we are aiming to tackle in MediaFutures. In our heart lies the combating of misinformation and disinformation. Of course, as you know, there is nowadays a diverse set of different and complex challenges in the media sector. Besides living in a pandemic, we are also living during an infodemic. And during these times, we realize even more the importance of the role of media in terms of responsibly informing citizens and shaping public opinion. Misinformation has always existed since the ancient times. Nowadays, however, with powerful data and AI technologies, as well as with the higher consumption of online content, such phenomena can be intensified. So at the heart of MediaFutures is the fact that we further fund, train, and mentor artists, SMEs, and startups that are coming up with very innovative proposals to tackle misinformation and disinformation. The use of AI and data leads to very powerful technologies such as static media, fake news, deep fakes, and this exacerbates misinformation phenomenon. At the same time, we want to reestablish trust of the public in the journalism and media sector. And we're working to that direction. In the next slide, we can discover our very multidisciplinary program and project objectives that cover many areas. To begin with,
we have more technical difficulties, so I will take over once again. So with that said, we address these challenges on multiple fronts by exploring critical factors that impact how people engage with bottom-up quality journalism, science education, and digital citizenship. We define an inclusive innovation program leveraging impulses from multiple disciplines and enable synergies between entrepreneurs and creatives. We organize an accelerator program, residency program, and support programs addressing pressing technical, economic, and societal challenges in the media value chain. We provide data and experimentation facilities for the winners of the competition to test and nurture their ideas and support 51 startups and 43 artists, I should say, by solving common concerns around funding, access to mentoring, technical, legal, business, media, and sustainability matters. And last but not least, we create toolkits and best practices for innovators and creatives. If you would go to the next slide. So if you are an entrepreneur, a startup, an artist, or an SME that wants to address some of these challenges or objectives, you have come to the right place. The European Union offers an innovation fund of 2.5 million euro and funds startups and SMEs within MediaFutures with up to 80,000 euro, and that is for startups and SMEs, and artists with up to 40,000 euros. This is equity-free funding, and the intellectual property remains with you and your team completely. If you would go to the next slide. Our program is customized on the current needs and societal challenges as previously outlined. Therefore, we look for solutions and artworks that use data and AI in innovative ways, and in such a way, ideally, to enhance data literacy or media literacy, or projects that address misinformation and disinformation, which is at the heart of our program. If you could go to the next slide. So what's in it for you? As already mentioned, we do offer quite generous funding, and with this, you can also count on the support, mentoring, training, advice, and high level of expertise from a strong consortium. Of course, you can also take advantage of our exclusive networking events and opportunities to gain exposure and get in touch with investors, customers, cultural institutions, and more. Next slide. We are organized in 3 tracks. The Startup for Citizen track is an accelerator program for standalone startups and entrepreneurs. Similar to this, the Artists for Media tracks offers a 6-month residency program for artists. And the 3rd track is one of our most innovative tracks, if I may say so, that supports joint collaborative projects between startups and artists. Next slide, please. In terms of our first open call, we managed to get 133 eligible applications from 32 countries. From this big pool of high-quality applications, we selected 19, the best 19 proposals to join our program. Therefore, a fair warning that it is simply a quite competitive program, but applying is certainly well worth the time, which will become clear once we explain what we offer later in our webinar. Next slide. For our first open call, we did have 4 challenges which startups and artists could tackle in the interest to make for applicants to make things more simple and easy to understand. We will have 1 unified challenge in our second open call, which will mainly focus on misinformation, disinformation, and ensuring that and increasing trust in information that is passed on. Next slide, please. So now I will quickly share some insights on our first cohort. If you're still not entirely sure what to expect from this program and what sort of solutions are expected from you, the projects that we chose to support within our first cohort offered some valuable insights. This is also somewhat of a secret trick that I'm offering you. If you are unsure about how you can link your project proposal to MediaFutures and to our goals and need some inspiration, definitely make sure to visit our website, mediafutures.eu/projects. And you will find a description of our most successful projects from the first cohort, as well as an explainer video for each project. Also make sure to check out our blog posts for additional information. In the interests of time, I would not explain every project that we had, but within our SFC, Startups for Citizen track, we supported 7 projects. The projects generally focused on bridging social divides due to misinformation and disinformation, digital democracy, and more. The winning team of this track, GoKind, sorry, still had that slide here, developed an online banking tool that makes it quickly and easily visible for customers to see what companies do and don't do in terms of sustainability, and therefore empowering customers to vote with their wallet, basically. Next slide. In our Startup Meets Artist track, we supported teams that focused on tools that help make data exploration more easy for journalists and the general public, and tools that connect art to help people arrive at a common understanding on certain subjects. And here our winning project, Bibliograph by Mariana Lanari and Remco van Bladel, is a tool for collective data aggregation, enabling users to annotate and add recordings and thereby interlink certain parts within books, making the book itself a library, which the tool helps to discover. Next slide. Last but not least, our artists for Media Track featured 5 projects which focused on climate change, the effects of violence, deepfakes, and misinformation. And our winning team with the project Soft Evidence by Deja Tai and Anya Catherine is a slow synthetic cinema series depicting events that never happened using AI, computer vision, machine learning, and deep learning to create fake scenes and raise awareness on the impact and harm that can be caused by such technology. Next slide. One last thing, or second last thing to note is to please take note of our open call. It has launched in November already, and the deadline is at January 27th at 12 p.m. noon. The results will be communicated in March 2022, and the program will start in April 2022. And at the next slide, one last point, what we offer not only to our applicants, but the wider ecosystem. This is our data infrastructure. This is not only interesting for applicants, but basically for every innovator working in media. This infrastructure features a catalog of third-party data assets that may be of interest for the applicants and the general public. A selection of open source tools and technologies suggested and handpicked by MediaFutures mentors for startups and artists to obtain, process, and visualize data within their project. A collection of self-training resources on different aspects of dealing with data. All of this can be freely accessed using data.mediafutures.eu. And with this, I would hand over to Luis and Tanya to explain to us what we are offering.
So yes, we will jump into what we offer. So here we really want to present what happens if you are selected, and maybe give you an idea of how we support artists, startup, and SMEs, and maybe also make you want to apply. So if you have any question, again, don't hesitate to write on the chat. We'll try to be as clear as possible, but never know. If you have anything that needs to be clarified, please let us know. So, as we already said, thanks to the first presentation, there are 3 tracks in this program. Igor, if you can show them, that's perfect. So you have startups for citizens. So this here we support startups. So you might have seen in the open call that there are some explanation on what we mean by startups, but you can also be as SME, of course, and you can also be a group of individual that has not created or finalized the creation of the company yet. That's totally okay. So here, this Startup for Citizens, it's really an acceleration program. So dedicated to boost, if we can say that, your business and in your ideas. And then we have a second track, Startup Meets Artists. So here we ask teams to apply together. So one startup, SME, or group of individual with one artist or a group of artists. So it's really important for you to know that you need to apply together, but you don't have to use our tool that is called DealRoom, that you can use to meet people. Of course, you can use it, but if you already have a pair with an artist or a startup, that's okay. You can apply together. That's totally fine. And so here we will support both the artists and the startups or SMEs. So we will have a combination of acceleration and residency. We will ask, of course, the startup to accelerate and improve their ideas and boost their business, but also the artist to develop an artistic concept and an artwork or art production. And finally, the last track, it's Artists for Media. So here we really ask artists alone, let's say, or group of artists to work on one project and the creation of an artwork. As we said, and as you might have understood, MediaFutures is really dedicated to media question of misinformation, and we support project working on data and using new technologies. So this is an important point for you to know. Of course, this is the domain of action that we will support. Then, for you to understand the different steps of the program, we can see in the next slide that you have 3 phases. The start phase, that lasts 1 month, then the build, that is the big part of the program, and then the exhibit. So how does it work? You will have to apply until end of January. Then we will have the selection process that will run until March. And then in March, you'll have an answer. We will select for SFC 8 startups, up to 8 startups. For SMA, up to 11 teams. And for AFM, we will select up to 5 artists. So at that point, you'll have an answer from us, letting you know what you, how you will proceed. Then in the start phase, so the start phase will start in April, so it will last April all months. Here you'll have to redefine your project, work on your ideas. We'll be here to help you, giving you some training, etc., etc. At the end of this month, so at the end of April, we'll have a selection. For SFC and SMA, we will select half of the teams, almost half of the teams, to continue with the whole program, with the build phase. So half of the team will continue, so up to 3 for startups and 4 teams for SMA, and the others will stop. For AFM, so the artist only, it's a bit different because we'll select the teams from the open call directly, and they will be directly selected. There won't be any selection at the end of the start phase. So if you are an artist applying to AFM and you are selected after the open call, it's for the whole program. There is no further selection. Then the build phase. So this will run from May to September, 5 months of hard work, where you will really develop your project, be whether an artist project or a business project. And there it's where you'll have the maximum amount of training, mentoring, advising from our teams. And of course, the biggest amount of money, if we can say it. So it's for SFC, at that point, you will receive 50K euros. For SMA, so collaborations, you'll have 65K for the startup and 30K for the artist. And for AFM, it's 25,000 euros. And finally, once you'll have succeeded, let's say, in those 5 months, develop your work, we will evaluate some KPIs, and so key performance indicators and objectives, and see if you reach them. And of course, if you reach them, you can go to the exhibit phase, which is a final phase that will happen in October, where we will want to showcase the work. So last year, it was a demo day that happened fully online, where startup artists, SMEs, were invited to present their work in front of an audience, and some professional partners. We will see for this year if we can make that a physical event. But again, it will of course depend on the health condition. So at the exhibit phase, will give a prize, 1 prize per track for the best teams. So 1 prize for the best startup, 10,000 euros, 1 prize for the best team of SMA, 10,000 euros for the startup and 5,000 for the artist, and for AFM, 5,000 euros. So that's really the final price for one of each track team. That's about it for the process. So have you've understood that it will last 6 months from April to October. You have different steps, and all along the program will follow you, help you, advise, and train you. Of course, depending on your requirements and needs. And yes, I think Tanya, you can jump into the
Yes, thank you.
Precision.
Yes, thank you, Louise. So Louise and I, we will basically run the residency and acceleration program. And we did it in the first cohort. So you are the second ones to apply. And we just have some learnings from the first call. And one is that we make clear what it means in respect of time you need to invest in the program. So on the one hand, you have to finish your project, that's clear. But on the other hand, you are also, we expect you to spend some time in trainings and in monitoring sessions. So as is written here in the start phase, we have around now 9 hours of training. So these are mandatory, and it is also a great offer because we have really excellent coaches and trainers. So it's great if you save the time to join the trainings. In the build phase, we have 30 hours of trainings. You don't have to be there in every training. So if it's, of course, you have to check what you actually need, but 4 hours of trainings are mandatory as well. And for the exhibit phase, you have also some hours of mandatory trainings. And what is called here monitoring, it's the time you spend, or you have to spend with Louise and me. Of course, you will spend more time with us, and we are happy to help you, but these are like mandatory time. So we will have mandatory meetings to, yes, to monitor your process, and you have to also create presentations and stuff like that. Just to be very clear that if you join the program, that you will need some time to do this. And this time is additional to the project you are going to create in that time. So next slide. Yes, and now we just want to briefly introduce NMA and IRCAM, because we are, as I said before, the main contact persons for the program itself. So NMA is an acceleration program, an accelerator based in Hamburg in Germany. And we are doing now acceleration for media since 6 years. We had 12 batches. We invested in 78 startups from 15 countries. So we are, if I say so, quite experienced in acceleration. So what we basically do, please, the next slide. We contact you, so the startups, with our investors and partners. So we have a really good network. So if you are in our program, we try to help you to find contact persons, and we advise you, we give you mentorship, we make trainings, and we try really to accelerate your team. I have some questions in the chat about NGOs. So you don't have to be like a super scalable business startup. So we also want to help people who have a kind of business plans. That means we want to see that your project will be sustainable after the program. So NGOs are welcome. It's a bit a matter of size, because it should be like startup and SME size, but I will come back to those questions later on. So next slide. Yes, and this is what we did last year from NMA together with the other partners of the consortium. So of course, everything was remote. We had welcome meetings. We have big match events, so where we try to match the teams from MediaFutures to our network. We had trainings, and at the end, of course, we had the big demo day. What is planned for this year, for next year, for you if you apply, and if you are selected, we of course want to make a hybrid program so that we can meet at least in 2 big events, but of course we cannot promise this because of the situation, as you all know. So yes, Louise, I think you will proceed with IRCAM.
Yeah, I can shortly present IRCAM. It's part of the Centre Pompidou in Paris. It's non-profit research institution. And the idea of this center, who was created more than 40 years ago, was really to promote the collaboration between researchers, engineers, and artists. So it's really the art tech collaboration is in it's in IRCAM since the beginning of the institution, since the creation. And it's now one of the largest public lab worldwide in sound and music technology, and it's kind of a leader in its field. We support, of course, artists all in production frameworks where we present them at the end of their production. We also have residency program where we associate researchers with artists and composers. And we also take part in several European projects where we run art and science residency or art and tech residencies. So this is really a core part of IRCAM, of our job, and we want to put it here in our knowledge for this program. And we also want to use our network, European and international, to support you and artists and also startups to develop and be successful in presenting your work. So we'll, as Tanya said, we'll be there all along the program. We're there to help you really defining your project and also disseminate it and showcase it. I think that's about it for IRCAM.
Thank you, Luis and Tanya, for these very useful insights. And with this, I would then hand over to Igor from Zabala to explain a little bit more about the application process and eligibility and so on. Igor,
Garrett,
the floor.
Just 1 second. So we have 2 more slides about the technical and training support. It's
sure.
Just to mention, so of course, it's not only Luis and I. We have the partners from King College, ODI, and Eurocut, and they will provide, next slide, please, Igor. They will provide you with a data innovation toolkit. So if you work with data, what you should do, because the program is a data-driven program, they will help you with the data toolkits. They will coordinate the training programs and the materials. And as I said before, they give the access to data and experience. So these are also supports you can count on in this program. And now, Igor, the floor is yours for the application.
Thank you very much, Tanya. It was a pleasure. Good morning to everybody. So I will just dedicate some 10 minutes in order to explain you how is the application process, how you can access this fantastic support program, where you can either accelerate your startup, your SME, or be able to perform this work hard related with fighting disinformation and misinformation. So basically, the application process, it's a quite easy one. Okay, in our website you can find the 6 steps that we defined for making this travel, this journey, and we are going to be revising each of them in order to explain you how to proceed in order to apply for our call. Let's go. First of all, read all the documents. Okay, we encourage you to go to our website, MediaFutures.eu, and in the Open Call tab, you will be finding the application kit. Okay, basically, it is really important that you read carefully these 3 documents that are the guidelines for applicants, explaining also both the application process, but also part of the insights and the details of the support program. It is also strongly recommended that you align to the document called challenge, because this second open call, it's looking for projects that have a positive impact in the scope of the challenge that we are mentioning all the time, misinformation and disinformation. And you are also lucky because we are in the second open call. So the frequently asked questions document as well, it's a really complete document where you will find many answers to questions that you may have. Okay, so these three documents are key for the submission process. So once you get it, you only have to choose the right track. It's really easy. At the end, we have these three tracks, as we have been saying: startup for citizens, devoted to startups, SMEs, or groups of individuals. Then we have startup meets artist, where an entrepreneurial group, it can be a startup, etc., and an artistic group, it's working together in the same project. And finally, we have the track for the artist. Again, it can be one single artist or a group of artists or an artistic company. So once you choose the track, the challenge, it's the same one for all of them. What is the next step? The next step is to go and register in the F6S platform. Okay, we are running our application process in that platform. That it's an enormous community of startups and different SMEs, etc., where you can find different funding opportunities, and you have to register in that platform. You can do it with your Facebook profile. You can do it with your LinkedIn profile as well, but also with your email. It's a really easy process. And once you have registered, all the things that you may have, it's, as you see, it's really basic information. In case you have any question, you can have the support of this email address from the platform directly. Okay, you are already registered. You have one profile, let's say. So when you will reach one of the different open call pages that we have three different call pages. One for startup for citizens, one for startup meets artist, and another one for artists for media. Once you have chosen the track, let's say that the forms that you have to fill are fully adapted to the requirements of that track. Let's see a bit what are the common sections that you need to provide in the forms that we try to make it as simple as possible. First of all, we will need some basic information about how you identify your proposal. You see at least one title, at least one email for the contact person, and you have to select the type of applicant depending on if you are a group of individuals or you are a company or whatever. This will be really easy. Second section, it's about administrative data. Depending on the track, we are collecting some data either for the organizations, in case you are a startup or an SME, or this group of individuals, one representative of these groups. Just you can see that it's also really basic information. And once we got it, we are also having one dedicated section for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, that allow us to ensure that we are supporting a diverse and inclusive range of participants and applicants. Finally, this is the core part of the submission. We will need to collect your proposal, and it will be really easy. Okay, in the case of the the track for the startups, only for the startups, they will need to upload just one PDF file, maximum 30 megabytes size, that you will be just uploading, just clicking on the button and uploading this document from your computer. In the case that you are choosing a track with an artistic component, we are also asking for some extra artistic material that you can see also there, like CVs, portfolio of previous works, etc. And we also have one section in order to be able to submit a short video about your proposals with your motivations. Okay, really short video, and it doesn't need to be a professional one. What we are saying here, the templates has been simplified from the first open call. So right now we have a new set of templates, one per each track. So be sure that in the application kit you take the correct template. The format, it has been simplified, so there is a maximum number of pages, 6 in the case of the Startups for Citizens, Artists for Media tracks, and 7 for the Startup Meets Artist. And in all the cases, maximum 30 megabytes in your PDF file. This is really short documents, but be sure that you are including all your explanations there. It doesn't need to be really extensive, but you must be clear and descriptive in your presentations. Here again about the video, what I was saying, no more than 3 minutes. You are allowed to make an amateur video, no matter of having a professional one, and it can be it must be a link from YouTube or Vimeo. And finally, regarding the additional artistic material, consider your CV, your artistic portfolio, or also links to videos or past works that can be relevant for your application. Consider that you can upload a document as well with a maximum size of 30 megabytes. That's all. Some final questions about the acceptance of conditions and these kind of things, and then you just click connect with Igor and Thomas. Please be sure that you do so before the noon of 27th January next year. And that's all. That's the whole process. It's really easy to make it. Just some final slides establishing what are the next steps after application. But consider that we will be making one eligibility exam before evaluating the proposals. That it's basically the conditions, the basic conditions that you have to fulfill. Read them in the application kit, in the guidelines for applicants. And regarding the calendar, what we are expecting is to communicate the results by the end of February, early March. So the signatures of the subgrantee agreements with our project will be in March 2022. Sorry, it is a mistake there. And the start phase will start also in April 2022. Sorry, we will correct that typo in the presentation. So that's all from my side. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Igor, and for your valuable input on the applications. And I see that we have caught up on time a bit. And now we come to our Q&A session moderated by Louise. Louise, I saw that you have been quite active in the chat. What have you found, and what pressing questions are there?
So thank you everyone for answering the questions. Thank you for for the attendees to ask questions. That's great. We can see that they're very interesting projects. What I think is important, and I'm pretty sure you've understood from the presentation and the answers, is that our project focuses on misinformation and how to tackle misinformation. So that's very something that needs to be central in your work. And for that, it's true that we support project working with data. So data sets are very diverse. We don't ask for specific ones. It's just that you need to have access to those. So we are offering some in our website, but we are also, if you have worked with data, or if you already have access to data sets that you can use, it's totally fine with us. So you can, you're very free regarding that. To answer one question, or maybe clarify, it's true that we're working on media, misinformation, and data, but it's not a reason to have only virtual artworks or AI artworks. We totally support physical artworks, low tech, if I can say, but it has to be a reflection, and to have, it has to have a link with how to tackle misinformation, and but it can be more in educating the citizens, or presenting some aspects of misinformation or any kind of things. So yeah, it doesn't have to be AI based artworks. It can, of course, that's totally fine. If you want to see a bit more of what we supported, as Gerrit said in the beginning of the presentation, you can have a look at our website on MediaFutures.eu. You have the projects that we supported, and they all created a video, so you can very shortly discover the kind of project we supported. Of course, we won't support the same projects for the next round, but it might help you have an idea. I also saw a few questions on the format of the people we will support. So you might have understood that we will support individuals. That's okay. We can support artists from an individual artist, groups of artists, and also group of individuals for the SMA, for the business tracks. The only thing that we need is that when you reach the build phase, if you reach the build phase, there is a structure behind the project. So you need to have a structure by May if you're selected for the build phase. But at the beginning, you can totally apply as individuals. That's totally fine. For SMA, I see also a question about can we apply as individuals, artists plus startup individuals? That's totally fine again. We supported last year as artists some collective, and in the collectives there were technical guys, let's say, or technical knowledge and research knowledge. So it's okay if your team is, let's say, a mix of different profiles. That's totally fine. And one thing that Alexandra also mentioned in the chat that is very important in your application is that we can understand that you have the capacity of dealing with those questions of data, technology, etc., etc. So it's good to have a proof that in your team you have someone or several people that can help you with that, or that you want or plan to work with someone else that will help you with that. So that's also, I think, something interesting. I'm checking again if other questions are...
Louise, may I jump in again with this
yes.
NGO thing? So as we know from NMA side, it's always hard to earn money with dealing with misinformation. So it's totally clear that there are NGOs in it. The open question, so maybe Igor, you can answer that. As we have the guideline as startups and SMEs, I think there's a problem with the size of the NGO that is applying, right? Or I think this is one open issue. Maybe you can tackle this.
Yeah, I remember that they are eligible in order to participate. We can support these NGOs. I cannot remember right now the issue on the specific size, but at the end, it's what we are asking more than being an SME or a startup, etc. Is to have that structure that mentioned Luis before, in order to be able to receive the support. But NGOs are eligible. We will include also this mention on the frequently asked questions document once we check it also in detail.
Certainly. Thank you very much, Luis and Tanya and Igor as well. And just to add one more point, I think for the startups, if you are an entrepreneur and have not set up your company yet, then you would be required to do so in terms of the build phase. That doesn't mean that like 1 month after the project, the corporate structure needs to be there and the company needs to be registered. Please correct me if I'm wrong on this, Igor, but I think it is within the build phase. So you would have a total of 6 months, and during which you would be required to incorporate if you do not have a corporate structure yet and you have just an idea for a startup. Yeah, that's something from my side I would like to add. Is there any other questions or any other clarifications, Luis, Tanya, Igor, that you would like to raise?
I'm just checking the chat. I like the idea of Samuel and George giving themselves some ideas, and so I don't know if you already know each other. It's just that it's you're jumping from one idea to another. So as you know, we have now the matchmaking session. It's open until 7 tonight. So if you see some profile that you're interested in, you can just write a short message, book a meeting with one another, and just have, it's 15 minutes discussion, so it's very short. You can end it earlier, of course, if you prefer. You can book that for the full afternoon when you want and when you can. So don't hesitate to meet. Of course, if you want to apply as an SMA, that's great. But if you also just want to discuss with one another, that's why the tool is here. So feel free to use it. We won't close the platform, so it's open until the end of the open call. So if you want to chat even once the matchmaking session is closed, that's totally fine also. So you'll find each other's profile until the end of this open call. And as we said, we will have another webinar on January 12th, and you have another opportunity here to matchmake with new partners or new profiles. So yeah, just for you to know, feel free to use it.
Great. Thank you very much. Indeed, it is very cool to see the ideas that are already being communicated to us in the chat. I think I saw something about connecting music somehow with data and misinformation. Really great ideas, and also good to see that already in the chat there's already first collaboration happening. So highly encouraged to do that. We have about 5 minutes left. So I would then proceed, Igor, with the next slide. And yes, this is an invitation for you to visit us on our second webinar, during which we will also give a little bit more insight into our first cohort and what do projects look like at MediaFutures, what was the experience of some teams applying, and what was their general journey, just sharing some insights of our first cohort. And it is expected to take place on January 12th. Once the final date is announced and set, we will communicate this over LinkedIn and our social media channels, Twitter, Instagram. So make sure to regularly tune in. And yeah, it would be great to also see you and welcome you in our next webinar. Then next slide, please, Igor. Yes, once again, a reminder, we have, or you have time to apply for our program until 27th of January, until 12 p.m. of noon. So make sure to not miss the deadline. And if we could go on to the next slide. Yeah, with this, I would like to wish you happy and safe holidays. We're looking forward to receiving your applications and wish you, of course, good luck. And feel free to contact us. If you could go to the next slide. Again, there's certainly more questions that you have. So we can also give you a bit more details if you drop us a message at opencall@mediafutures.eu. And more than happy to help out. Then next slide, please. Last slide, I think. Exactly. So with this, as Luis already alluded to, we have now the matchmaking, the startup meets artist track. Here you can, exchange with some other attendees, make appointments, and find like-minded individuals, innovators to collaborate with. In terms of the startup meets artist track, or maybe in some other innovative capacity. So take advantage of this great tool. And Luis, I think if you don't have the time today to mix and mingle, you also have the opportunity until the end of the open call to schedule appointments flexibly. So you can reach out to people who have filled out their profile and on your own terms and in your own time can also flexibly arrange some appointments. And I highly encourage you to take full advantage of this. And yes, with that.
May I add also something, Garrett?
Yes, please.
Just one remark that it's about this matchmaking tool. That's something that we offer to the applicants in order to facilitate the participation in this collaborative track, okay? But in case you already have a relationship between a company and an artist, you can also apply without using this matchmaking tool, because you already have this collaboration. So we will be also happy to receive applications from collaborators that usually are working together.
Very good point, Igor. Thank you so much. That is indeed very true. So if you already have ties to a startup or to an artist and want to apply to the SMA track, feel free to do so together. This is just an additional tool of support if you would like to find, if you don't have yet a partner to collaborate with and want to apply to the startup meets artist track. And then I would ask in the round of our panel, are there any last closing remarks?
Oh, I would just say good luck for the application process. We're really looking forward to discover your projects. And if you need to, you'll see the video right after that uploaded on our website and YouTube channel. So you have everything.
Tanya? Same as Luis.
I think, yes, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to meet you all in person. Hope that you are all applying and that we will meet in person anytime. So go ahead.
And yeah, one more chance for Igor.
Nothing else for me. Yes, we are really excited about all these interesting ideas. So we are willing to receive all of them in the application. So good luck and Merry Christmas.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. One more important question that I just discovered in the chat. Where's the matchmaking session? Could anyone clarify which buttons to press?
Yeah, I was going to answer in the chat. Yeah. So there is no joint session. It's you that has to ask people in the deal room event to meet. So you just see the profile and you'll see you can chat with one another, clicking on the profile, and you meet. You can book meetings, etc., etc. But there is no joint session. It's just right now until 7. Book meetings with people, chat, and and discuss.
Yes, and as discussed, so this joint session, I believe it is also incorporated within Deal Rooms, and later on there's still an opportunity to maybe make a Skype meeting or a Zoom meeting with somebody you find interesting. So with this, I thank our fantastic panels and our MediaFutures partners, Luis, Tanya, Igor. It was a great pleasure having you. And to our audience, thank you so much for asking for all the questions. I'm so much looking forward to what great ideas you come up with and what collaborations will take place. So with this, I say thank you and looking forward to your applications. And for today, I remain with happy holidays and yes, enjoy. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good luck.
Bye.